Picture this. Rod Stewart, his gravelly voice steady, reflecting on the highs and lows of a career that spanned decades. Today, he's not reminiscing about sold-out arenas or the glitz of stardom. Instead, he's opening up about the volatile relationship he shared with guitar legend Jeff Beck, a relationship that was as electrifying onstage as it was tumultuous offstage. For years, the two shared a musical chemistry that seemed unstoppable, but behind the scenes, their collaboration was fraught with tension, ego clashes, and unspoken resentment. Jeff Beck, known for his unparalleled guitar virtuosity, was equally infamous for his difficult character. His stubbornness and perfectionism, while key to his artistry, often alienated those closest to him, including Stewart. Now, Stewart is peeling back the layers of their partnership, revealing a side of Beck that fans rarely saw, one defined by conflict, control, and creative chaos. Think of this, the late 1960s, the birth of the Jeff Beck Group, a band that would redefine rock and blues. At its core were Jeff Beck, the mercurial guitar genius, and Rod Stewart, a raw, soulful voice destined for greatness. Their sound was groundbreaking, a blend of fiery guitar solos and Stewart's passionate vocals, but from the very beginning, cracks in their relationship were visible. While their music flowed seamlessly, their personalities clashed like thunder and lightning. Beck's perfectionism was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it pushed the band to achieve a sound that was ahead of its time. On the other, it created an atmosphere of constant tension. Beck's relentless demands and inability to compromise frustrated Stewart, who felt that his contributions were often overshadowed. Rehearsals turned into battlegrounds, with Beck nitpicking every detail while Stewart bristled under the scrutiny. It wasn't long before their creative collaboration began to feel more like a tug of war. As the band gained momentum, so did Beck's erratic behavior. He was known for his disappearing acts, vanishing for days without explanation, leaving the rest of the band in limbo. For Stewart, this unpredictability was infuriating. The band relied on Beck's leadership, but his frequent absences made it nearly impossible to maintain cohesion. At one point, Stewart described the experience as walking on eggshells, never knowing when Beck would lash out or simply walk away. The final blow came in 1969, just as the band was on the cusp of a major breakthrough. Beck, citing exhaustion and dissatisfaction, abruptly disbanded the group, leaving Stewart and the rest of the members blindsided. For Stewart, it was a betrayal, a reminder that Beck's ego often took precedence over the collective good. The dissolution of the Jeff Beck Group marked the end of their partnership, but it also planted the seeds of resentment that would linger for years. Jeff Beck's reputation for brilliance was matched only by his reputation for volatility, and nowhere was this more evident than during his tenure with the Yardbirds. Joining the band in 1965 as Eric Clapton's replacement, Beck quickly made his mark with an innovative approach to the guitar that redefined the limits of rock music. His experimental use of distortion, feedback, and unconventional techniques catapulted the Yardbirds to new heights. Yet, while his guitar work was nothing short of revolutionary, his fiery temperament often set the band on edge. Creativity flourished onstage, but offstage, Beck's combative nature made harmony within the group almost impossible. The situation became even more volatile with the arrival of Jimmy Page in 1966. Initially brought in as a bassist, Page soon transitioned to a dual guitar role alongside Beck, creating one of the most formidable yet tension-filled guitar duos in rock history. On stage, the two guitarists complemented each other, their styles merging into a sound that was both electrifying and ahead of its time. But offstage, their relationship was far from harmonious. Beck's ego, already a point of contention within the band, became more pronounced in the shadow of Page's rising star. Page, with his quiet confidence and strategic mind, began to draw attention not just from fans but from industry insiders, creating an unspoken rivalry between the two. While Beck's fiery solos dazzled audiences, he couldn't ignore the growing influence of Page, whose steady presence contrasted starkly with Beck's unpredictable moods. The tension between them became palpable, creating a toxic dynamic that rippled through the band. Beck's refusal to compromise was both his greatest strength and his most glaring flaw. His insistence on doing things his way often left his bandmates feeling excluded or dismissed. Disagreements over the band's direction became commonplace, with Beck pushing for a more experimental sound while others, including Page, favored a more structured approach that could appeal to a wider audience. These creative clashes only widened the rift between Beck and his bandmates, making it increasingly difficult for the group to function cohesively. Adding fuel to the fire was Beck's penchant for perfectionism. Rehearsals turned into drawn-out battles as Beck demanded exactness from everyone, often losing his temper when things didn't meet his standards. His fiery outbursts alienated not only his fellow musicians but also the band's management, who struggled to mediate the escalating conflicts. While the Yardbirds continued to produce groundbreaking music during Beck's tenure, the strain behind the scenes was becoming unbearable. By late 1966, the situation reached its breaking point. Heated arguments over creative decisions became the norm, with Beck and Page often finding themselves on opposite sides of the debate. For Beck, the band's growing commercial ambitions felt like a betrayal of their artistic integrity, while others in the group grew increasingly frustrated with his erratic behavior. The final straw came during a tour in the United States, where Beck's frustrations boiled over into a series of clashes that left his bandmates questioning whether they could continue working with him. In true Jeff Beck fashion, his departure was abrupt and final. Without warning, he walked away from the Yardbirds, leaving the band to carry on without him. For Beck, it was a necessary escape from a situation he felt had become creatively stifling. For the Yardbirds, it was yet another fracture in a band already struggling to maintain its footing. Beck's exit left a void that even Jimmy Page, with all his talent and charisma, struggled to fill in the immediate aftermath. Beck's departure from the Yardbirds was more than just the end of a chapter. It was a defining moment in his career, one that cemented his reputation as a musical genius who couldn't be contained. While his contributions to the band's sound were undeniable, the conflicts he left behind painted a picture of an artist whose brilliance came at a steep cost. For his bandmates, Beck's exit was both a relief and a loss, a reminder of the fine line between genius and instability. The trail of fractured relationships Beck left in his wake would become a recurring theme throughout his career. The Yardbirds were only the beginning of a pattern that would define his interactions with collaborators for years to come. Beck's time with the band was a testament to his unparalleled talent, but also to the challenges of working with a personality so uncompromising, so intense, and so unwilling to bend. Beck's reputation as a musical genius came with a cost. Throughout his career, he struggled to maintain stable collaborations, often alienating those who worked with him. His perfectionism, while central to his artistry, often led to creative paralysis. Producers and engineers found him impossible to please, while bandmates grew weary of his unpredictable moods. Even casual jam sessions with other musicians were reportedly fraught with tension, as Beck's relentless pursuit of perfection overshadowed the joy of making music. Rod Stewart wasn't the only one to feel the brunt of Beck's difficult personality. Longtime collaborators described him as someone who demanded total control, often to the detriment of the project. Beck's refusal to compromise, though admirable in its dedication to his craft, left little room for collaboration. Time and again, promising partnerships dissolved under the weight of his exacting standards. Jeff Beck's career stands as a testament to both his extraordinary genius and the steep cost of his uncompromising nature. His guitar work redefined rock music, blazing trails with innovation and mastery that continue to inspire musicians worldwide. Yet, the brilliance of his artistry was often eclipsed by the turbulence of his personality. Beck's inability or unwillingness to maintain lasting relationships left a wake of broken collaborations and strained partnerships, painting a picture of a man whose drive for perfection frequently alienated those around him. For Rod Stewart, who shared the stage with Beck during the brief but electrifying tenure of the Jeff Beck Group, the experience was transformative but deeply fraught. Stewart credits Beck as a mentor, someone who challenged him to push his creative boundaries, but also recalls the frustration of navigating Beck's unpredictable moods and relentless demands. The group was a springboard for Stewart's eventual solo success, but the cracks that formed during their collaboration were impossible to ignore. Time may have softened the edges of their shared history, but Stewart's reflections reveal that the scars Beck left behind have yet to fully heal. Beck's legacy is one of profound duality, a towering figure whose contributions to music are undisputed, but whose interpersonal struggles remain an inseparable part of his story. For those who worked with him, he was both a source of inspiration and a cause of exasperation, a reminder that even the brightest stars can cast the deepest shadows. In the end, Beck's life and career offer a cautionary tale about the price of unyielding ambition, one that underscores the fragile balance between brilliance and isolation.